Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and all non-binary individuals. My name is Sean Hay Smith, and today we're going to be looking at prescriptivism versus descriptivism and trying to argue which one I agree with out of the two. Yeah, awesome. So here is the statement that I'll be looking at today. It goes as linguists are concerned with describing what people do with language, and that is known as description, while other people who want to say that a certain use is incorrect are setting down rules for proper language use, which is known as prescription. Quite apart from what people actually do. Although language changes, it is always systematic. So, to understand this statement, we need to understand in more detail what both of these terms mean. So, prescriptivism is the belief that there are rights and wrongs when using language, and that language books should provide rules. And as Mooney and Evans said, they have very strong ideas on how language should be used. And on the other hand, you have descriptivism, which is focusing on describing what people do with language, rather than giving rules or saying what is right or wrong. So firstly, we have a case study about the more descriptive side of this argument. So a person by the name of Anne-Marie Blackstrom held a questionnaire for both native and non-native English speakers, most of them being teachers and lecturers, but some are also students, so they're all within the education bubble of profession. And the studies actually suggested that most people's answers push the ideas of the Old English like varieties and dialects being acceptable and quote unquote good, despite the level of expertise. So as long as you have the fundamentals down, as long as you are basically speaking the same language, then it's okay how you choose to speak it. And a quote here, most of the native speakers believe that any English variety is equally good as standard English. And on the other hand, in the interest of fairness, we have a prescriptive case study, and this one is by someone by the name of Nahadi Hamka. I hope I didn't butcher that, but I probably did. And they held a questionnaire based on prescriptivist rules and pronouncements involving 8 level 5 writing band IELTS, what it stands for International English Language Testing System students. These are students that are learning English despite living internationally, I believe. And actually, only 2 cases broke the prescriptivism rule, whilst the others followed it. And the quote here is, I did not find a single case that breaks the rule of prescriptivism. All prepositions used in the samples abide by the rule of prescriptivism. Now, it could be argued that because these people are international and non-native, that their perception of correct and incorrect English might be warped as they are learning the language later into their lives. However, because the descriptive case study also had some non-native speakers in, you could argue that the pool of people that were asked is quite similar across both studies. Okay, so now for my opinion, obviously the expert opinion. I'm obviously the most intelligent person in the world to ask this question, or any question too. So overall, I think that the notion of language being right or wrong is pretty harsh and hyperbolic, because when you consider that non-native speakers have to learn English, I think that setting these expectations for them to have English that is so right or wrong, and you have to speak it so perfectly with such perfect pronunciation, kind of sets an impossible boundary for them to reach. And languages such as English have many variants and dialects, as well as speakers ranging in experience from different cultures and countries. So mastering languages, especially non-native ones, is especially difficult. As you learn languages later on in your life, you are adopting the knowledge of the language that you already know. So as you learn a language that is so different in pronunciation, so different in the way it's spoken, it's very hard to adapt to that style of speaking. So I think that the idea of having the fundamentals of it down and being able to get the words out at all and the main points out is more important than having it be perfect in pronunciation and perfect in grammar. And yeah, branded language is right or wrong, may put more pressure on unrealistically high expectations for language use. I think it's kind of harsh and unrealistic to expect someone to have such perfect pronunciation of English, especially if they're non-native and learning it later on. So yeah, there you have it. Thanks for listening to my wonderful, excellent presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, which you definitely did. And here is a wonderful picture of a cat to hopefully cheer you up in case this made you sad in any way. I doubt that it would, but just in case you were disheartened today, now you'll be really happy. And here's my references. Thank you.